I stopped at the red light on Hamilton Road, same intersection I'd crossed 1,000 times in the past 30 years. My foot pressed the brake pedal. Nothing happened. I pressed harder. Still nothing. The pedal went straight to the floor like I was pushing through butter. The light was red. Traffic was moving across the intersection. My truck was not stopping. I yanked the emergency brake. The truck shuddered, slowed slightly, but kept rolling. My heart hammered against my ribs. I was 63 years old, and in that split second, I understood exactly how people die in accidents that everyone calls just bad luck. I cranked the wheel hard right, jumped the curb, and slammed into a postal mailbox. The impact threw me forward against the seatbelt. The mailbox crumpled. My truck finally stopped. I sat there, hands shaking, breathing like I'd run a marathon. Cars honked as they passed. A woman pulled over, ran up to my window. "Sir, are you okay? Should I call an ambulance?" "I'm fine," I said. But I wasn't fine. My brakes had just completely failed. On a truck I'd maintained religiously for 15 years. That's when I knew something was wrong. Very wrong. My name is Robert Harrison. Most people call me Bob. I'm a retired insurance adjuster. Spent 40 years investigating claims, determining what's an accident and what's fraud. I've seen every scam, every scheme, every way people try to game the system. I know the difference between bad luck and bad intentions. And what happened to my brakes that Tuesday morning? That wasn't bad luck. Let me back up and tell you how I got here. 3 months ago, life was good. My wife Patricia had passed 5 years earlier. Cancer took her too soon, but I'd learned to live alone in our house in Worthington, Ohio. 3 bedrooms, small yard, nothing fancy, but it was ours for 32 years. My daughter Emily lived 20 minutes away with her husband Marcus and my 2 granddaughters, Sophia and Grace, 8 and 6 years old. Absolute lights of my life. I saw the girls every week, picked them up from school sometimes, took them for ice cream, helped with homework. Emily married Marcus about 10 years ago. He ran some kind of tech startup, always had a new business idea, always on the verge of the big break. I never quite understood what he did, something about blockchain and cryptocurrency and digital marketplaces. Every Thanksgiving he'd explain it again, and every Thanksgiving I'd smile and nod and still have no idea. But he seemed to make Emily happy, and that's what mattered to me. The girls adored him. He was their dad. My job was to be grandpa, and I did that job well. At least, I thought I did. The brake failure happened on a Tuesday morning in January. Cold, Ohio winter. Roads were clear, but temperatures hovered around freezing. After the mailbox incident, I had my truck towed to Jerry's auto shop, same place I'd used for 15 years. Jerry himself got under the truck, came back out 20 minutes later with a confused look. "Bob, your brake line is completely severed," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Severed? Like it broke?" "No, like it was cut. Clean cut. Almost all the way through. Just enough left that it held until enough pressure was applied. Then it snapped." He showed me on his phone photos of the brake line. Even I could see it. One section looked frayed, worn, but the cut was too clean, too precise. "Could it have been road debris?" I asked. "Something kicked up from the highway?" Jerry shook his head. "Bob, I've been doing this 28 years. Road debris doesn't cut like that." This was deliberate. The word hung in the air between us. Deliberate. "Who would want to cut your brake lines?" Jerry asked. I didn't have an answer. Not then. Jerry replaced the brake line, checked everything else, told me the truck was safe to drive. I paid him, drove home carefully, mind racing the whole way. Who had access to my truck? It sat in my driveway every night. Anyone could walk up to it. But who would want to hurt me? I was a retired insurance adjuster living alone in suburban Ohio. I didn't have enemies. I didn't have drama. I lived a quiet life. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, running through possibilities. Random vandalism? Unlikely. Wrong target? Maybe someone thought I was someone else? That didn't feel right either. Then I remembered something. 2 weeks earlier, I'd gone to update my will and life insurance policies. Just routine stuff, making sure Emily would be taken care of if something happened to me. My insurance agent, Sandra, had suggested increasing my life insurance policy. "You're in good health, Bob. Rates are good right now. Why not bump it up?" I'd agreed. Increased it from 200,000 to 500,000. Emily was the sole beneficiary. She'd inherit everything: the house, the life insurance, my retirement accounts, about $900,000 total. Not a fortune, but enough to make someone comfortable. Could that be connected? I shook my head in the dark. That was paranoid thinking. Nobody knew about the policy increase except me, Sandra, and Emily. I'd mentioned it to Emily over coffee one afternoon, just letting her know she'd be taken care of. She'd hugged me, told me not to talk like that, told me I'd live to be 100. Marcus had been there too, working on his laptop at their kitchen table. He'd looked up briefly, nodded, went back to his screen. I pushed the thought away. I was being ridiculous. The brake line was probably just wear and tear, and Jerry was being overcautious. Except Jerry had been very clear. It was cut. I got up, went downstairs, made chamomile tea. Patricia used to make it for me when I couldn't sleep. The house felt too quiet. I turned on the TV, found some late-night talk show. Let the noise fill the silence. The next day was Wednesday. I decided to stop being paranoid and live my life. I went to the grocery store, picked up the girls from school, took them to the library. Normal grandfather stuff. We read books about dinosaurs. Sophia was obsessed with velociraptors. Grace preferred the plant-eating ones, said they were nicer. "Grandpa, can we have a sleepover this weekend?" Sophia asked. "Of course, sweetheart. I'll make pancakes. With chocolate chips? Is there any other kind?" Emily picked them up at 5. She looked tired. I asked if everything was okay. "Just work stress," she said. "And Marcus has been frustrated. The latest business venture isn't going well. He's under a lot of pressure. Do you need anything? I can help if money's tight." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "We're okay, Dad, but thank you." After they left, I made dinner, watched the evening news, went to bed early. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up to a sound, a subtle hissing. I lay there in the dark, trying to place it. It was coming from downstairs. I got up, grabbed the baseball bat I kept by the bed. Patricia always said I was paranoid, but I'd investigated enough home invasions to know better, and crept downstairs. The sound was coming from the kitchen. I flipped on the light. Nothing. Kitchen was empty. But the hissing continued. I followed the sound to the stove. The gas stove. One of the burner knobs was turned on, just slightly. Not enough to ignite, just enough to leak gas. My blood ran cold. I turned it off, opened all the windows, went outside into the January cold in my pajamas, and let the house air out for 30 minutes. My hands shook as I stood on the front lawn. 2 incidents in 2 days. Brake lines cut. Gas leak in the middle of the night. This wasn't coincidence. When I went back inside, I checked the stove carefully. The knob had been turned, deliberately. Not loose, not bumped. Someone had turned it on. But who? I lived alone. I locked my doors at night. Unless someone had a key. I checked the locks. Back door, still locked from the inside. Front door, same. All windows, secure. No signs of forced entry, which meant someone with a key had come in while I was sleeping, turned on the gas, and left. I only gave spare keys to 3 people. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, in case of emergencies. She was 78 and barely left her house. Jerry, from the auto shop, for when my truck needed service. And Emily had a key, which meant Marcus had access to a key. I sat at my kitchen table at 3 in the morning, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee I didn't drink, and let myself think the unthinkable. My son-in-law might be trying to kill me. It sounds insane when I say it out loud. Who would believe that? A respected businessman, father of 2, married to my daughter, would try to murder his father-in-law? For what? Insurance money? But I'd investigated insurance fraud for 40 years. I knew the patterns. I knew how people think, especially people desperate for money. And Marcus was desperate. I'd seen the signs, the way he tensed when Emily mentioned bills, the way he snapped at the girls over small things, the way he worked later and later, always stressed, always on the phone with investors or partners or whoever. His latest startup was failing. I didn't know the details, but I could read the signs. He needed money, and he needed it fast. And I'd just increased my life insurance to $500,000. Emily would inherit everything. Emily and Marcus shared accounts, community property. If I died, they'd split nearly $1 million. Enough to save a failing business. Enough to solve all his problems. If he could make it look like an accident, I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my kitchen, the baseball bat on the table in front of me, and tried to convince myself I was wrong. This was my son-in-law, the man my daughter loved, the father of my grandchildren. I'd watched Sophia take her first steps. I'd been in the hospital when Grace was born. Marcus had shaken my hand, tears in his eyes, and thanked me for raising such an amazing woman. That man wouldn't try to kill me, but someone had cut my brake lines. Someone had turned on my gas. Someone with a key to my house. As dawn broke, I made a decision. I needed proof. If I was wrong, I'd apologize to Marcus, maybe see a therapist about paranoia. But if I was right, I needed evidence before going to the police. They wouldn't believe me without it. An elderly man accusing his son-in-law of attempted murder based on a cut brake line and a gas leak? They'd think I was suffering from dementia. I knew that story too well. I'd seen it dozens of times in my career. The paranoid parent, the concerned children. 9 times out of 10, the parent was just confused. But the 10th time, the parent was right. I needed to be sure I was the 10th time. Thursday morning, I called Emily. Normal voice, normal conversation. Hey honey, I'm thinking of getting some security cameras installed. You know, just for peace of mind. Getting older, want to make sure the house is secure. That's a great idea, Dad, she said. Marcus actually knows a guy who does security systems. I can have him give you a call. My stomach dropped. Oh, that's okay. I don't want to bother him. I'll just go to Best Buy. It's no bother. Marcus would want to help. Really, Emily, I've got it covered. I went to Best Buy that afternoon. Bought 4 wireless security cameras, the kind you can monitor from your phone. The kid at the store helped me set them up. 2 outside, covering the front door and the driveway. 2 inside, one pointing at the front door from the inside, one covering the kitchen. Is this for a break-in? The kid asked, as he configured the app. Just being careful, I said. That night, I kept all the cameras active and watched from my bedroom. Nothing happened. Friday night, same thing. Nothing. Saturday morning, Emily called. Dad, can we come over for lunch? The girls want to see you. Of course. I'll make grilled cheese. Their favorite. We'll be there at noon. They arrived at noon exactly. Sophia and Grace ran to hug me. Emily hugged me too. Marcus shook my hand. Gave me that tight smile he always did. Bob, good to see you. How's the truck running? Fine, I said, watching his face. Got the brakes fixed. Turned out to be a bad brake line. Weird coincidence. Huh, he said. Well, good thing you caught it before something serious happened. We had lunch, grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. The girls told me about school, about their friends, about a school play coming up. Marcus sat quietly, checked his phone a few times. Emily tried to keep conversation going, but I could see the stress in her eyes. After lunch, the girls played in the living room. Emily helped me clean up. Marcus excused himself, said he needed to take a work call, went to the bathroom. I kept loading the dishwasher, but every nerve in my body was on high alert. He was in the bathroom for 7 minutes. When he came out, he looked normal, said goodbye, helped get the girls bundled up, and they all left. I waited until their car turned the corner. Then I checked my phone, pulled up the security camera footage. I watched the kitchen camera, fast-forwarding through lunch, through cleanup, through Marcus excusing himself. Then I rewound to a different camera, the one pointing at the front door from the inside. I watched Marcus walk past it toward the bathroom. But he didn't go to the bathroom. He stopped at the front door, glanced back toward the kitchen, and quickly made a key impression in a small piece of clay he pulled from his pocket. The whole thing took 15 seconds. Then he continued to the bathroom. I watched that 15 seconds 3 times. There was no mistake. My son-in-law had just made a copy of my house key, right there in my own home, while my daughter cleaned up lunch and my granddaughters played with toys. I sat down at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd sat 3 nights earlier, and let the reality sink in. This was real. This was happening. My son-in-law was planning to kill me, and he now had a key to do it whenever he wanted. I should have called the police right then. I should have driven to the station, shown them the footage, filed a report, but I knew how this would go. A key impression wasn't attempted murder. The brake line, the gas leak, they were circumstantial. Any lawyer would argue coincidence, faulty maintenance, a stove I forgot to turn off properly. I'd worked insurance fraud investigations long enough to know the truth. Without catching someone in the act, without concrete evidence of intent, the police couldn't do much. And going to Emily? Telling my daughter her husband was trying to kill me for insurance money? Without proof, she'd think I'd lost my mind. It would destroy our relationship. Worse, it might alert Marcus that I knew, and desperate people do desperate things. No, I needed to catch him in the act. I needed proof so undeniable that even the best lawyer couldn't explain it away. I spent Saturday night making a plan. I was an insurance adjuster, trained to think like criminals, to anticipate scams. I knew how Marcus would think. He'd already tried twice and failed. He'd be more careful now, but he'd also be more desperate. His business was failing. He needed that money. He'd try again, soon, and I needed to be ready. Sunday, I called my old colleague Tom Wilson. We'd worked together for 20 years before he retired and became a private investigator. I met him at a diner, showed him everything. The camera footage of Marcus making the key impression, Jerry's report about the cut brake line, photos of the gas stove. Tom listened without interrupting. When I finished, he stirred his coffee slowly. "Bob, you realize what you're saying? You're accusing your son-in-law of attempted murder. I know. And you understand that if you're wrong, you'll destroy your relationship with your daughter? Your grandkids? I know that too. But Tom, look at the evidence. What would you conclude?" Tom looked at the footage again, sighed. "I'd conclude you're probably right. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I need to catch him, get him on camera trying something. Then the police have to listen. That's dangerous, Bob. You're talking about using yourself as bait. What choice do I have?" Tom thought for a long moment. "Okay, here's what we do. I'll set up better cameras, hidden ones he won't spot. I'll also put trackers on your medications, anything he might tamper with. And I'm going to wire your house for audio. If he comes in, we'll have everything recorded." We spent Sunday afternoon turning my house into a surveillance nest. Hidden cameras in every room, audio recording devices disguised as smoke detectors, even pressure sensors on the stairs to alert if anyone came in while I was sleeping. "If he shows up at night, you'll get an alert on your phone," Tom explained. "But Bob, if that happens, you call me immediately. And you call 911. Don't try to confront him yourself." "Agreed. I mean it. You're 63. He's 38 and desperate. Don't be a hero." Monday passed. Nothing. Tuesday, nothing. I went about my normal routine. Grocery shopping, morning walks, reading at the library. Every night I checked the footage. Marcus hadn't used the copied key yet. Wednesday afternoon, Emily called. "Dad, Marcus wanted to know if you'd like to join us for dinner Friday night. He's making his famous lasagna." My throat tightened. "That sounds great, honey. 7 o'clock? I'll be there." After I hung up, I sat there, thinking, why would Marcus invite me to dinner? Was he planning something at his house? Or was this about looking normal, maintaining the appearance of a loving family? Or was it a distraction? Get me out of my house for the evening, then come back later? Friday, I went to their house at 7. Sophia and Grace greeted me at the door, bouncing with excitement. Emily hugged me. Marcus shook my hand, same tight smile. "Bob, good to see you. Hope you're hungry." Dinner was pleasant. The lasagna was actually good. Marcus seemed relaxed, almost cheerful. He talked about a new business opportunity, how things were finally turning around. Emily looked relieved. The girls told me about their upcoming school play. I stayed until 9, helped clean up, hugged everyone goodbye. As I drove home, something felt off. Marcus had been too relaxed, too cheerful, like he knew something I didn't. I pulled into my driveway at 9:30. The house looked normal. I unlocked the front door, stepped inside, reached for the light switch, and that's when I felt it. The top step of my stairs, the one right past the front door, shifted under my foot. I grabbed the railing instinctively. The wood cracked. The whole railing came loose in my hand. I stumbled backward, off the step, hit the floor hard. Pain shot through my hip. If I'd been walking normally, if I hadn't grabbed the railing, I would have fallen straight down the stairs into the basement. 13 steps, concrete floor at the bottom. At 63, that fall would have killed me. At minimum, severe injuries. Another tragic accident. I lay on the floor, breathing hard, my phone buzzing in my pocket. Alert from the pressure sensor. Someone had been in my house while I was gone. I pulled up the camera footage. Fast-forwarded to 7:47 p.m., 13 minutes after I'd left for dinner. The front door opened. Marcus stepped inside, carrying a toolbox. He went directly to the stairs, pulled out an electric drill, loosened the screws holding the railing. Then he did something to the top step. I couldn't see exactly what, but it took him about 5 minutes. At 8:03, he left. I'd been at his house, eating lasagna, playing with my grandchildren, while he'd been here rigging my stairs to kill me. I wanted to vomit. This was real. This was actually happening. The man my daughter married, the father of my grandchildren, had just attempted to murder me for the 3rd time. I called Tom. He arrived in 20 minutes with a police officer he knew and trusted, Detective Sarah Williams from the Fraud Division. I showed them everything. The camera footage of Marcus making the key impression, tonight's footage of him tampering with my stairs, the report from Jerry about the brake lines, photos of the gas stove. Detective Williams watched it all twice. Then she looked at me with an expression I'd seen 1,000 times in my career. The moment when someone realizes a case is real, not paranoia, not coincidence, but actual criminal intent. Mr. Harrison, I need to ask you something. Do you want to press charges right now, or do you want to catch him in an even more definitive act? What do you mean? We have evidence of breaking and entering, vandalism, maybe reckless endangerment. But attempted murder? A good lawyer might argue he was trying to fix your railing, that the brake line was coincidence, that you left the gas on yourself. If you want him to face serious charges, we need to catch him in an absolutely undeniable act. You want me to use myself as bait. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you what will hold up in court. I looked at Tom. He shook his head. Bob, you don't have to do this. What we have might be enough. But I knew it wasn't. I'd seen too many cases fall apart on technicalities, and I thought about Emily, about having to tell her that her husband tried to kill me, about her not fully believing it because the evidence was ambiguous. I thought about Sophia and Grace, growing up with a father in prison on charges he'd deny. I needed this to be undeniable, not for the law, but for my daughter. So she'd know I wasn't crazy, so she'd understand why I had to do this. What did you have in mind? I asked Detective Williams. We spent that Friday night planning. Detective Williams would get a warrant for surveillance, make everything official. Tom would stay in a vehicle outside my house. I would go about my normal routine, but I'd wear a wire, and we'd add even more cameras. If he comes back, and if he tries something definitive, we'll have him, Detective Williams said. But Mr. Harrison, at the first sign of actual danger, you signal us. Tom has a panic button that'll bring 3 squad cars in under 90 seconds. Use it. Saturday, I went about my day normally. Grocery shopping, lunch at my favorite diner, evening TV. Tom was parked 2 houses down in an unmarked van. Detective Williams was at the station, monitoring the camera feeds. Nothing happened. Sunday, same routine, nothing. Monday morning, Emily called. Dad, I'm worried about you. You seemed distant at dinner Friday. Is everything okay? My heart broke. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just been feeling my age lately. Do you want me to come over? I can bring the girls after school. No. I'm actually thinking about taking a few days off, maybe drive up to Lake Erie, get some fresh air, clear my head. That sounds nice. You deserve a break. After I hung up, I called Tom. He's going to move soon. I just told Emily I'm going away for a few days. If Marcus is monitoring my routine, he'll know I'm supposedly leaving town. Good thinking. Makes you vulnerable. That evening, I made a show of packing a bag, loading it into my truck, driving away. I went to a hotel 10 minutes away, checked in, then snuck out the back, and Tom picked me up. We returned to his van, parked near my house. Now we wait, Tom said. We waited Monday night. Nothing. Tuesday morning, I went back to the hotel, made sure the staff saw me at breakfast, then snuck back to Tom's van. Tuesday evening, 8:15 p.m., my phone buzzed. Motion sensor. Front door. I pulled up the camera feed. Marcus had entered using the copied key. He wore gloves, carried a backpack. He walked through the house, checking rooms, making sure I wasn't home. Then he went to the kitchen. He pulled something from the backpack. A small device, black plastic, about the size of a deck of cards. He opened my electrical panel in the kitchen, the one that controlled the circuits for the house. He connected the device to something inside. I couldn't see exactly what. Then he did something with his phone, tapping the screen several times. Testing something. What is that? I whispered to Tom. Tom was recording everything on 3 different devices. I don't know, but nothing good. Marcus finished, closed the electrical panel, looked around one more time, and left. Total time in the house, 11 minutes. Tom called Detective Williams immediately. We have him on camera, but we don't know what device he installed. Bob can't go back in until we know it's safe. Detective Williams arrived 30 minutes later with 2 officers and a bomb tech. Yes, a bomb tech. Because we had no idea what Marcus had installed in my electrical panel. The bomb tech went in first, cautiously. We waited outside in the cold November night. After 20 minutes, he came back out. It's not explosive, he said, but it's definitely dangerous. It's a remote electrical switch connected to your main breaker. Someone with the right phone app can trip your entire electrical system remotely. Kill all power to the house. Why would he want to do that? I asked. Detective Williams understood before I did. You have an electric furnace, don't you, Bob? I nodded. It's November. Temperatures at night are dropping below freezing. If he cuts your power while you're sleeping, your furnace stops working. House gets cold fast. You're 63, sleeping in a cold house, possibly with the beginnings of hypothermia. In the morning, they find you dead of natural causes. Heart attack, stroke, hypothermia. Elderly man forgot to pay his electric bill, or the breaker tripped, or any number of innocent explanations. The reality hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was calculated. This was patient. Marcus had tried 3 times, failed each time, and now he'd found a method that would look completely natural. No brake lines, no gas leaks, no tampered stairs. Just a sad story about an elderly man who died in his sleep when his heat failed. We have him, Detective Williams said quietly. That device, the installation, the intent, this is attempted murder, premeditated. We have everything we need. Then let's finish this, I said. The plan was simple. I'd go back to the hotel, make sure Marcus knew I was back in town. Wednesday evening, I'd return home, go to sleep. Tom and Detective Williams would be watching remotely. If Marcus triggered the device, they'd have him for attempted murder. They'd arrest him before the house got dangerously cold. Wednesday, I called Emily. Hey, honey, I'm back from my trip, feeling much better. That's great, Dad. Do you want to come for dinner this weekend? I'd love that. That evening, I went home. Tom and 3 officers were stationed around the block. Detective Williams was in the van with Tom, monitoring everything. I turned on lights, made dinner, watched TV. At 10 p.m., I went upstairs, got ready for bed. I lay there in the dark, wearing the wire, waiting. The panic button was on my nightstand. Part of me hoped Marcus wouldn't do it, hoped I was wrong about all of this, hoped my son-in-law wasn't actually trying to kill me. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Alert from the electrical monitoring system the bomb tech had installed. Someone had remotely activated the device. My furnace shut off. The temperature in the house began to drop. I didn't move. I had to let it play out. Had to let Marcus believe it was working. My phone buzzed again. Text from Tom. We see it. Stay calm. Officers are moving into position at Marcus's house. We'll arrest him within 10 minutes. I lay there in the growing cold, listening to my house creak and settle. I thought about Emily, about how I was going to tell her, about Sophia and Grace, about Thanksgiving dinners and birthday parties, and all the family moments that would never be the same. At 11:53 p.m., 6 minutes after Marcus triggered the device, my phone lit up with a call. Emily. My hand hovered over the phone. If I answered, I'd ruin the timing. But it was Emily. I answered. Dad? Her voice was panicked, crying. Dad, I need to tell you something. Marcus just left the house. He said he had to check on a client. But Dad, I went through his laptop. I found plans, notes about your life insurance, about accidents. Dad, I think Marcus is trying to hurt you. Dad, please tell me you're okay. Please. Emily, breathe. I'm okay. I'm safe. Where are you? I'm coming to get you. Stay there, honey. The police are on their way to your house right now. Marcus is about to be arrested. Silence. Then, you knew? Yes. I'm sorry. I had to get proof. She was sobbing now. Oh my God. Oh my God. The girls are sleeping upstairs. He's been all this time. Oh my God. Emily, listen to me. I need you to stay calm. Let the police handle this. Keep the girls in their rooms. I'm coming over right now. I hung up, called Tom. Change of plans. Emily knows. I'm going to her house. Tom started to argue, then stopped. Okay. I'll meet you there. Detective Williams is already on her way with the arrest team. I drove through the November night to my daughter's house, the house I'd visited 100 times, where I'd watched my grandchildren grow up, where I'd eaten lasagna 3 days ago while my son-in-law plotted my death. Police cars were already there when I arrived. Lights flashing, neighbors standing on porches in bathrobes. Emily opened the door before I could knock, threw herself into my arms. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I should have known. I should have seen. Shh, this isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. Marcus was arrested at 12:17 a.m. on Thursday morning. Detective Williams found him at his car, phone in hand, checking the app that controlled the electrical device. He'd been about to trigger it again, making sure the job was complete. He didn't say anything when they arrested him, didn't resist, just looked at Detective Williams with this empty expression, like he'd already known this moment was coming. They found everything when they searched his home office. Notes about my routine, research on untraceable methods of murder, a failing business with $340,000 in debt, emails to investors saying he'd have money by the end of the year. He'd been planning this for months, ever since I'd mentioned the life insurance increase. The trial took 8 months. Marcus pleaded not guilty, claimed everything was circumstantial, that the devices were for security purposes, that the brake line was natural wear. But the footage was undeniable. The electrical device was undeniable. His own notes and research history were undeniable. The jury took 4 hours to convict him on 3 counts of attempted murder. The judge gave him 18 years. Emily divorced him before the sentencing. She and the girls moved in with me for 6 months while she figured things out. Those were hard months. Sophia and Grace didn't understand why Daddy wasn't coming home. Emily blamed herself, even though I told her every single day that this wasn't her fault. It's been 2 years now. Emily bought a small house 3 blocks from mine. The girls are doing better, though they're both in therapy. Sophia's still obsessed with dinosaurs. Grace still prefers the plant-eating ones. I see them every week. We have dinner on Sundays. Sometimes Emily and I talk about Marcus, about the warning signs she missed, about how someone you love can hide something so dark. But mostly we talk about moving forward. I still live in the same house. I had the electrical panel completely replaced. I check my brake lines every month. I have security cameras on every corner. Mrs. Chen still has a spare key, but that's it. People ask me if I regret how I handled it, if I should have gone to the police earlier, if I should have told Emily my suspicions. But I did what I had to do. I needed undeniable proof, not just for the law, but for my daughter. So she would know, without question, that I hadn't imagined it, that her father wasn't paranoid, that the man she married had truly tried to kill me. Where are you watching this from? And what time is it there right now? I'm curious to know how far this story has traveled. Comment below and let me know. Here's what I learned from all this. Trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is. I spent 40 years investigating fraud, and even I tried to talk myself out of believing what I was seeing. We want to believe the best in people, especially family. But sometimes the people closest to us are capable of things we never imagine. If you're in a situation where you suspect someone is trying to hurt you, don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Document everything. Get help. Talk to someone you trust. I was lucky. I had training, resources, and time to build a case. Not everyone does. And if you're elderly, or if you have elderly parents, pay attention to the small things. Unusual accidents, changes in behavior, financial irregularities. Elder abuse is more common than anyone wants to admit, and it's not always strangers. Sometimes it's the people who are supposed to love you most. Marcus is in prison now. He'll be there for a long time. Part of me feels sorry for him. He made desperate choices that destroyed his life, his family, everything. But mostly I think about Emily, about my granddaughters, about the trauma this caused them. That's the real crime, in the end. Not what he tried to do to me, but what he did to his own children, what he took from them, the innocence, the trust, the idea that Daddy was always safe. But we're healing. Slowly. Emily's stronger than she knows. The girls are resilient. And me? I'm 65 now. Still alive, still healthy, still here for my family. Sometimes I think about that moment on Hamilton Road when my brakes failed. How close I came. How different everything could have been if I hadn't yanked that emergency brake. If I hadn't investigated. If I hadn't trusted my instincts. Life is fragile. Family is complicated. Trust is earned, not given. These are the lessons I carry now. If you found this story helpful, if it made you think about your own situation, I'd appreciate it if you'd like this video. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. And if you want to hear more stories like this, about people who fought back, who stood up for themselves, who refused to be victims, subscribe to Feathered Vengeance. The important thing is that the worst is behind us. We survived. We're still here. And we're still a family, just a different kind of family now. Thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. And remember, if something feels wrong, trust yourself. Your instincts exist for a reason.